Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday morning, February 8, 2023. It's Mornings with the Managers. Thank you so much for tuning in. Those two that I saw were just online, but I'm pretty sure that some of you might actually watch this later on replay. So again, thank you to all of those who are sharing with me a few minutes to allow me to go over some of the things that are happening here in the city of Monterey. Let's start by talking about last night's council meeting, Tuesday, March 7th. We had a February 7th. We had a council meeting, and there were two larger items in front of the city council which were discussed in the evening at length. We had the first reading of our wireless ordinance, and we also talked about cruise ship visits here in the city of Monterey. The wireless ordinance was discussed at length last night. A lot of residents came forward and were providing us with their feedback, their critique of the wireless ordinance, and their suggestions of improvements. One of the points was talking about imposing an additional 100 feet setback into residential areas for small cells, and that item was discussed at length. And I think at the end, I think we had created a good understanding of what the intent of the current ordinance is that was in front of council, and how a setback provision would basically make the whole wireless ordinance in a way harder to implement and harder to defend legally as well. A lot of discussion was spent on the effective prohibition. What that means is you cannot really create a rule of a set of rules and regulations which in essence effectively prohibit someone from doing something that he's entitled to do. One of the main arguments also was at the end that the citizenry of Monterey should have a last say in that, and I think that was an item that was also dealt with by the council in their comments. And one council member pointed out that yes, that is absolutely correct. Citizens need to be heard, and their input is valued and should be as much as possible acknowledged and worked into rules and regulations. Yet the challenge is that, of course, you have on the flip side, above the local government and above the local citizens, state and federal regulators, and they have actually the last say and part of that in some of the issues. And that's one of the issues where our local authority to regulate, our local authority to create good regulations is very difficult if you have federal regulations which really limit your abilities to implement certain changes. It also absolutely is something you have to abide by. So again, going back to the word of effective prohibition, the telecom companies can fall back on those federal rules and threaten cities when they overstep with litigation. There's always a lot of back and forth about what other cities are doing, and I think also the council members address that to a degree, which is basically connect with the federal regulators, connect with the federal folks, our Congressman Panetta, and share with him or share with Zoe Lofgren, if you live outside of Monterey in the other district, and share with them what you think about those regulations. Now, here's an interesting element that I just want to share from my observation. All of them are aware of that. This discussion is not something that started last night. Your federal representatives are very much in the know about the concerns that constituents up and down the state of California are expressing. So one is wondering why is there no other feedback yet? Maybe it has forward, maybe it hasn't been simply the items are of national interest. There are national policies also where the rollout of small cell is also being discussed as something that provides equitable access for all folks to have the same possibilities that maybe others have in their backyards through high-speed internet, and it's an equitable issue as well. So when you look at what the national policies are and when you look at local policies, there is a difference. And that might also explain to a certain degree why you really have not a lot of traction seen on the federal level. So last night, the council worked through all the different issues. It ended up that the council then approved the staff recommendation, which basically was to not have 100 feet setback in there. And again, let's put that into perspective. The whole ordinance was drafted over a period of 4 years together with the residents to provide the highest and strongest legal wireless ordinance that we can add. The 100 feet added as a last minute into the existing ordinance by the Planning Commission. And again, it was not a unanimous vote. We didn't point that out last night, but there were commissioners, interestingly enough, two of the commissioners who voted no were the commissioners who actually sat on the wireless subcommittee through all those years. They posted a no vote on this. So in the last minute, with a majority vote of 1 vote more than the naysayers, the no-sayers, and it basically was disturbing or changing the balance, if I say it this way, changing the balance of the existence. And so at the end, I think the council voted with 4-1 to approve the first reading of this ordinance. And going forward now, we will have a second reading of that. And Councilmember Hafer asked us, staff, to provide an overview in the second reading, basically just to reiterate where all the elements are that are protecting the residential neighborhoods. And we will do that. And it was basically unfortunate that last night the residents could not understand completely yet that this is in essence an ordinance that is very reflective of the good work that was done over 4 years or so through 25 subcommittee meetings and over 30 public outreach meetings, including those 25. So first reading was last night, passed 4-1. Second reading will go forward in probably 2 weeks, and then an ordinance becomes effective 30 days thereafter. So we're looking forward how we're doing this, and we're looking forward to engage again, and hopefully the case will be made again, and there's at least something on the book that is stronger than what we have right now. And again, Councilmember Smith last night pointed out what council members many times do. Let's start with something and we can always improve upon. And I think there was also wide consensus around the dais that this is an appropriate suggestion as well. Second item of the night was the cruise ship. Here's what I think you all need to understand is this is not a banning of cruise ships per se, because again, federal law trumps local law. Local law cannot prevent cruise ships from entering the Monterey Bay. But what our proposal was basically was that we as city, with our employees, should not service cruise ships any longer. And there was a good discussion also in front of the city council. A lot of businesses showed up and spoke about how they feel about those cruise ships. I think all of them agreed that yes, there is a certain risk coming from the cruise ships, and cruise ships are known to have violated existing laws and regulations up and down the coastlines they are operating. And unfortunately, that is part uh, of their history. And of course, we always want to give folks the benefit of the doubt. And I know that they are working hard to improve their operations. But last but not least, the question really comes down to risk assessment, and is it worth the risk of having cruise ships that have 1.5 million gallons of diesel in their tanks, or gray water cells, black water cells, oil G water, or even food waste mixed with plastics? Do we allow them those risks to have an accidental discharge? And my recommendation to council was the risk is too much, and it's not outweighed by all the economic benefits that are claimed by various business interests here in Monterey. And again, everyone had a chance to speak. The folks that were speaking, there were business interests from various groups. You had the restaurant owners speak. You had the tour bus operators speak. You had their representatives of groups like Monterey County Hospitality Association speak. And then you also had interested residents speak who were saying that, enough is enough. How much more do we really need to be economically solvent? How much more tourism do we really want here on the peninsula? Is it really so important to chase after each and every dollar? What we couldn't share last night, because it would have gone way too much, is way too far into details. But the cruise ships impact that we estimated in 2019 was about $1.5 million. So that's, I think, we looked at it at 11 cruise ship visits. We conducted surveys with passengers who were returning to their ships, and we, based on that data, we estimated that the cruise ship economic impact is around $1.55 million. Now, what you need to understand is that at the same time, the overall tourism economic impact, again, regionally, Monterey County, was $3.2 billion. And so when you weigh 1.5 million versus $3.2 billion, is it really that dramatic of a difference? Now, it can make a difference, and I have to admit this. It can make a difference in someone's small business if this small business really benefits from the tourists. We have to acknowledge that there can be an economic impact, but is it worth the risk? And my concern really is that if we have an accidental discharge, if we have a challenge on our beaches, if we have pictures transmitted around the globe of a small sea otter fighting for his or her life there, entangled in some sort of spill, that has a much higher damage for our economy here, and that will affect all our residents, because a lot of our service levels that we have in the city of Monterey are funded through the tourism dollars that we get through sales tax, that we get also through the hotel tax. And if we see that reduction based on those pictures transmitted all across the internet and across the media and the globe, people will retroactively say, well, you know what, was it worth it? Probably not. Only the most cool people, shall we say, will say, well, probably it was worth it, and let's go through the next 4 weeks and then we will recover. We see that slightly differently, and I think the council again came through understanding that. The majority of the council, and was a 3-2 vote, and they agreed to allow us as city staff to not service cruise ships anymore. So that was a good vote as well, that the council showed a position there. And again, it's something that we can work on and figure out. If we one day figure out that there is no risk anymore from cruise ships, okay, then the council can revise their position. But even last night, the representative of the Cruise Line International Association, CLIA, used words like spills are less likely now or less probable. Well, less is a good word, but it's not absolute. And until we hear absolute statements, I think it was the right decision by the council to, for the time being, authorize staff to not service cruise ships. So that's all what I wanted to share about last night. It was a long meeting, but nevertheless, our new council, I think, showed leadership and showed also that they are able to work through those issues. We will have next week an event that I invite everyone to. It will be the State of the City address. It's next week on February 15th. It will start at 6 p.m. at the conference center. The mayor, Williamson, as well as me, the city manager, we will provide interested who are showing up to that event a state of the city. We will talk about our perspective, points of overview. The mayor is responsible, as you know, for policies, and the city manager is responsible for the operation of the city and implementation of those policies. So the mayor and I will both share our points of views, and I invite you all to come and show up. We will also live stream the event on one of the platforms. It may be YouTube, it may be Facebook. We'll see how we do this yet, but we will also have that available for those of you who cannot make it to that live event or cannot watch it live. It will be and also on-demand video that you can watch afterwards. Again, this will be next week, February 15th, 6 to 7:30, and will be held in the conference center. And we have sent out multiple flyers, and the neighborhood association president should have received those, as well as Lori, our public information officer. She will also send it out on her weekly emails to everyone as well. So hope you can join us. If you can't join us, please be interested enough to watch the reruns. Another event is interesting. We are hosting the U.S. Navy band Sea Chanters. That's a Navy band that a choir that comes with a small band to us. It's a free event. It will be in the Monterey Conference Center. Unfortunately, I don't have the date right now written down. I hope Laurie is listening, and then she types it quickly into the box there. But we will promote this event as well. It is free for everyone, and my hope is that a lot of the folks that are showing up here in the conference center, it's on a Sunday, that they are also retired veterans. We have a large community of retired veterans, and I think that might be something that is appealing. Again, the tickets are free, and it's a great choir that is known all across the country. And again, we're collaborating with the Navy School, we're collaborating with the Defense Language Institute, and also Old Monterey Business Association to fill the Sierra Ballroom. So we will seat about 1,500 people there. So I hope that at least 1,000 will show up. We are opening up the Community Wildfire Preparedness Plan There will be surveys going out shortly to all of you. It's a joint effort together with the cities of Carmel and Seaside. I'm sorry, Carmel and PG. Moray is the lead in this effort, and we are coordinating together with the other cities. How do we want to create a community wildfire preparedness plan? It's really important for us that we hear from you and then that we get your feedback. Again, on our website, Have Your Say Monterey, you will find a link to that community wildfire preparedness plan, and you can fill out the survey there. It's very, again, once again, it's a joint effort there to help us figure it all out. The Monterey Police is hosting a community police academy. This will start on March 15. Unfortunately, it has been sold out already. So I think there are a few seats left. If you are interested to join the Community Police Academy, please sign up. And we also have CERT training coming up in March as well. So many things to get involved, many things to show how you can actively improve your skills as a resident, as a citizen. I invite you to seek out the sign up on our websites for the Community Police Academy, but also for the CERT training. More and more, I think those academies provide all of you, all of us with insights. It's a two-way communication. We learn something from you, and you learn something from us. And together we walk out of those experiences smarter and better. So I want to encourage you to do this. The February class for CERT is full, but the March class has still some open slots. So please look that up. Want to talk a little bit about the thank you, Laurie. She just posted the event for the Navy Sea Channels will be on March 19th. So more information is on the side panel and the link to sign up for that. Thank you, Laurie. The atmospheric rivers that pass through kept us pretty busy. We started actually working, if I say around the clock, I kind of mean it to that degree. We started closely monitoring, responding in the middle of the night to certain areas at the end of last year. As you recall, First Night had already some issues with the weather. And our crews were already out there working in the various zones to ensure that we didn't have major flooding, or more importantly, also removing fallen trees. I think the governor the other day just shared that we had in this time period of about 3 weeks, 9 atmospheric rivers crossing. You heard at one time that the sheriff was very concerned that Monterey Peninsula could become an island. So because the Salinas River was swelling, Big Sur was cut off at Highway 1 as always when we have weather. So it was a pretty challenging situation, shall we say? And overall, I think Monterey fared pretty good. We had downed trees, we had power outages, we had long-lasting power outages in the Skyline area and the Monte Vista area. So it was really affecting all of our lives. But the good news in all of that was also that we prevented major flooding in areas where we usually have a lot of flooding. And one of the things that I think we see now is also that Measure P and Measure S, the 1 cent sales tax increase, which goes towards street improvements, also is going, as we always say, to the storm drain infrastructure. And since we have that measure in place, which is 2014, we have completed quite a few projects in the public right of way that affect how we channel the storm drain water. And you could see the success in 2023 during the 9 atmospheric rivers that really there were no major flooding issues except our Iris Canyon challenge. And those challenges are quite differently than you see in other areas. Iris Canyon, for one, is not really a thoroughfare. It's a usable street, but it's also in a way the area next to MPC and to Alta Mesa is not as heavy traveled, or is very less traveled than many of the other streets. And you could see that all the other streets where we did a lot of improvements worked out fine. We will have to look at that street as well to ensure that it doesn't continue to flood. But again, many of the things that we implemented on Fremont, on North Fremont, on Franklin Street, on Washington Street, all those seem to have worked pretty well. And again, our beam that we always create between Wharf 2 and the building to the right of it, the former Adventures by the Sea building, that berm also was holding and prevented flooding of Del Monte. You see a lot of beaches have evaporated. When you go down to Carmel, you see a great deal of their beaches is gone. It will take a few months. It may take one more season, winter season, but those beaches will come back and the sand will naturally be replenished in those areas. That's at least what we hear, and that's what we try to figure out. I want to say thanks also to the CERTs, and thank you, Esther, for reminding me of that. It takes a team, and a part of our team are the CERTs who are helping to secure sites. When a power line, when a tree puts a power line down, it takes hours sometimes until PG&E shows up and declares that we can touch the tree and touch the power lines because they have been deactivated. Nobody can drive through, nobody can walk through, and we cannot use our chainsaws until we get the clearance from PG&E, and that can take hours. So again, the CERTs are helping us there also to secure those areas and prevent people from ignoring that. Long gone are the days where yellow tape really meant for people to acknowledge it and not walk through areas. So again, kudos to the CERTs who really supplemented our crews. Kudos also to our crews in public safety as well as public works. It was quite a joint work every day, by the way, pumping down the lakes and ensuring that the lake levels are stable and not go over the edges. The tunnel is one of the largest storm drain management systems we have, with 7 pumps in there, ensuring that we are not flooding in the city. A lot of the water goes through actually a system that is located within the tunnel. So all this work paid off. Let's hope we get a little bit more rain because we still need it. And the flip side is that the water that is coming is helping us to restore some of our aquifers as well. It will make a difference, but it will make a very slight dent into our overall water supply. And again, not going into the water discussion, but I encourage all of you to follow those discussions as well. We will have a joint session between Planning Commission and Council on February 21st. We will talk then about the RHNA numbers and the housing allocation that we have, and there will be a discussion also about water. Again, February 21st, it's currently planned for that. Try to tune in, try to participate. This is not normal, or it's something special if we meet together with the Planning Commission and the City Council at the same time. It's usually the kickoff to something really large, and it's really the kickoff also to ensure that the Planning Commission hears what the council has to say, because the Planning Commission appointed by the council works for the city council. It's not the other way around. So it will be an interesting session, and I hope that both groups, the elected leaders as well as the appointed commissioners, will understand the topic at hand and will also kind of understand in what direction the whole city wants to go. So it will be a great meeting, and water will be a topic there as well. Yep, so it's coming to an end now. Last topic is we have just published the 2023 winter issue of our City Focus. Just published. It's at monterey.org/cityfocus. Take a moment, read it. I hope you enjoy it. And there's one item I still want to add, and I apologize. We have received information, a concern from a resident about Walgreens, the backside of Walgreens, and the trash there. And I want to share with that residents, in case the residents has tuned in. Yes, we are aware of that. We are working on this topic. Walgreens has been put on notice, and this is always a spot that from time to time falls off the radar of Walgreens, and we have to sometimes send them subtle reminders. It's basically the area behind Walgreens on Calle Principal, and I just wanted to assure the residents, yes, we have received your information, and we are working through the appropriate channels and following our appropriate procedures to help clean that area up. That's all for today. Hope you have a great Wednesday. Thank you so much for all your help. Thank you so much for listening to me today and your support over the past weeks and months. And we will do our best to ensure that we are all doing fine over the next couple of weeks, months, and years. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.